Welcome to your Daily Detroit for Friday, July 25th, 2019. I'm Jer Stays.
And I'm Sven Gustafson. On today's show, Jer talks to Detroit artist Sheefy McFly about art in the city and a mural he's unveiling at the Mopop Music Festival this weekend.
Raccoons have taken over a West Side Detroit home.
Shooting over stolen potato chips on Detroit's West Side sparks protests.
A new development in Corktown might challenge what you think about affordable housing.
And Wine Spectator unearths some local hotspots for wine.
All of that right after this. Daily Detroit is brought to you in part by Lawrence Technological University. Traditional four-year students love Lawrence Technological University's thriving campus life, but LTU has always met non-traditional students' needs too.
Lawrence Tech offers over 100 degree and certification programs that can get adult students started or back on track. And most classes are conveniently offered evenings at LTU's beautiful Southfield campuses or online. So you can balance your social, family, and work life even while you power up your career. Find out more at ltu.edu. We'll have a link in the show notes.
Joining me on the line for a few minutes is Detroit artist Sheefy McFly. You might remember him as he was in the news recently for being arrested by Detroit police for tagging a viaduct with graffiti. But in fact, he was working on a city-commissioned art project. His work will be at the Mopop Festival on the riverfront this weekend. So how did you get into art in general? Like, what was kind of your story to get into this place?
Honestly, I've been drawing as long as I can remember. I was probably born with a pencil. I've been going to art school my whole life, CCS, started freelancing, and just being from Detroit, going to an art school in Detroit, I felt like I should just find my own way type of thing. So that's what led me into like doing more art and murals and stuff around in the city and being more Detroit implemented as far as like my inspiration and such.
So you've been kind of the center of a lot of attention lately in the Detroit art world for a few different things. How do you feel like things are going in the city right now for artists?
I feel like it's a change. It's a big change. So I feel like the type of eyes that we're getting and it's a lot of attention that we're not used to. However, it's still like a big city. So it's like a city full of artists, and we got different artists coming from other cities and everything, different companies coming from other cities. But in this case, like with me working with Teva is like, they reached out from like, the crazy press that happened. And then just working with the brand, I see is more so like good can come from situations when it's like cities changing, like good companies can reach out to dope artists that they had never really know about. It's a rush. I feel like it's a rush. Detroit right now is what Harlem was in the 1920s. So it's definitely like a global renaissance happening here in Detroit.
You're somebody who does a lot of work that it makes a statement, it makes an impact. When people see it, they know it's you, they know you've got your hands in it. What about Teva made you decide that you want to work with them? Because, clearly, I know you don't work with absolutely anybody. So what about that brand? What about what they're doing called to you to say, yes, I'm going to sign on to this project?
Yeah, it's crazy because I'm real picky when it comes to brands and stuff like that. But just like, it just felt really organic how Teva reached out. And then like the concept was just dope. Like they really had it in plain sight for me with the challenge. Because like I've been doing murals back to back to back every week. Murals, DJing, like rapping. And then with everything that happened, it's like it just made everything explode. But just this project, it just felt like something I feel like it can push me forward as an artist. And like just seeing the color template and then just learning the backstory, with the Grand Canyon and everything, like just the shape and just actually being able to look at the canes and thinking of it abstractly, it brought my mind somewhere else. So I really like how the collaboration pushed me forward as an artist.
So for people who aren't familiar, let's talk a little bit about the setting and the ground and where exactly all of this is going to go. Because I have a general idea, but I kind of want people who are listening to know so they can look for it and kind of follow this.
What I'm making is freestanding mural, an 8-foot by 8-foot mural. It's going to be at the Teva Outpost at Mopop. It's a festival that's going on at the riverfront downtown this weekend and everything. A lot of dope acts worldwide, hometown heroes as well. So like I just have the mural there for like a photo op and like, just the art installation, like to go along with everything else Teva has in that section.
Mopop in general, this feels like a place of a lot of prominence where a lot of people are kind of going to be seeing it and focused on it for, a whole weekend.
hmm Like I feel good about it because it's something totally new what I've been usually making. So I want to see how people react to it. Like, because I've really been holding the secret the whole time, like this past few weeks working on it. So once I take pictures and show people, I'm like, dang, like I didn't know Sheefy can go that way, because it just like the whole concept just pushed me further. Like I can't explain it. But and then like the colors and such, like it was just like, wow, no outline. I'm usually like, when I do a lot of fast work, I use like a bold outline or like everything is spontaneous. So I felt like with this project, it was, even though it was spontaneous, I still had to think about it. Like I felt like it was a math equation, but I was doing an art equation type of thing. It was really a mind-boggling. I really love the outcome.
Yeah, isn't it good to like push off sometimes and do something that you're like, well, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to pull this one together, but it's going to come together somehow.
Yeah, like it definitely took me out of my comfort zone, but it brought me back, just the roots of just symbolism and just how everything just aligned. So it felt good to work so abstractly, but at the same time, just having like a forward vision, it was just like really fluid. And as time went along, because I did the sketch on my iPad Pro first, and then just using the color scheme, I'm so used to using like primary colors, the bright and bold colors. So just using the color scheme to Teva provided, it was like fun. And just seeing the outcome, it's like, I think people that look at my art, they're going to see it and be like, this is crazy. I never think, Sheefy would make a piece like this.
All right, Sheefy, it's great to talk to you. Where can people follow you on social media, like Instagram and that kind of stuff?
People can follow me at Sheefy McFly, all one word, SheefyMcFly.
Here are a few stories to wrap up your week. A shooting over potato chips has sparked a protest in a West Side Detroit neighborhood, and it's highlighting long-simmering racial and ethnic tensions. According to reports, earlier this week, a clerk at a Shell gas station at West Warren and the Southfield Freeway in Detroit allegedly shot someone during a dispute over stolen potato chips. According to police, the clerk came from behind the counter and fired through a front glass door, hitting a victim who was holding the door open for the alleged thief. All the men involved were in their 20s. The shooting victim was hit in the chest and was hospitalized. The clerk, meanwhile, faces multiple charges, including attempted murder. Witnesses say there'd previously been some sort of dispute between the alleged thief and the clerk.
The Warrendale Detroit blog says approximately 50 people protested at the Shell station Thursday, demanding that the business be closed. The protesters then went through the neighborhood with flyers, asking residents to instead shop at one of the 4 black-owned gas stations in the area. Tensions between the African American, Arab, and Chaldean communities have been simmering for a long time in the city of Detroit. Most of the party stores and gas stations, among the only retail establishments in some areas, are owned by people who live outside the city. Critics say the limited money circulating through them gets sucked out of the community. Others point out that without the gas stations and stores, there would be even fewer shopping choices in those neighborhoods.
Staying on the west side, there's an abandoned home where a pack of raccoons is terrorizing the neighborhood. The home is across the street from Rouge Park, the city's largest. Neighbors tell WXYZ that the raccoons have been climbing a tree, getting onto the roof of the abandoned home, and sliding down the chimney. Now they're trying to enter other people's inhabited homes. The homeowner's daughter told WXYZ that someone in the neighborhood is leaving out food to feed stray animals and wildlife in the park. Jared, this is like these are two quintessential Detroit stories. This place is crazy.
Detroit is absurd, am I right? An affordable housing development is being constructed in North Corktown. When you think affordable, you might think it's for people in poverty. But this one's a little different, as it's for middle-income people. Think teachers, firefighters, auto workers, and the like who are priced out of Detroit's rising residential market. Cranes reports that Oakland Housing Incorporated is doing a $3 million, 14-unit condo complex on Pine Street, a block north of I-75. The company was founded all the way back during the Great Depression to build affordable housing for auto workers. I'll put a link in the show notes to the full story.
Jerry, you used to live over there in North Corktown, right?
Yeah, just down the street from this. Yep, absolutely. This is right around the corner from Nancy Whiskey. It's crazy the change over there. I mean, there are some developments that are happening, but there's no way that neighborhood could be considered filled up with housing and things.
No.
But it's crazy to me that living there just a few years ago, you for less than $1,000 a month all in, you could have a 2-bedroom apartment. And when I say all in, utilities, all that kind of stuff. Now that's not even I don't think that's even the case. And especially with Ford coming in, people are looking at that area going, how can we develop it? And it's kind of crazy to me that we're talking about affordable housing for stuff that within the rest of the region would just be normal.
Yeah, I feel like the next frontier for that neighborhood is to get some retail, like some commercial businesses sprinkled through the neighborhood. I mean, think about Nancy Whiskey's is over there, right? So, I'd love to see some other markets over there because that's kind of the one thing that you lack over there. You don't really have much nearby, like in walking distance, like little, corner markets and things like. I mean, I guess you have a couple party stores, but
I mean, it's kind of funny that you have an urban farm right there with like chickens and everything. Mm-hmm. But nowhere, like no fruit stand, no fresh vegetable stand, nothing like that. I think that kind of thing would be cool.
Last but certainly not least is one for the enophiles among you. Wine Spectator has announced the winners of its 2019 Restaurant Awards, and among them, they highlight restaurants around the world that offer the best wine lists. There are dozens of entrants from across Michigan. Too many to go through, but I'll just shout out a few favorites of yours truly. The Earl in Ann Arbor, great subterranean classic French old school restaurant, live music on weekends. I love that place, an amazing wine list and a great bar to sit at. The Rattlesnake over on the east side on the river here in Detroit, great wine list also. Fiamma Grill in Plymouth, and The Row, which is an old family vacation spot, favorite of ours in my family. It's in the tiny up north town of Ellsworth, a little place on the road. It's like a French country inn, essentially. I've drunk a lot of incredible wine there over the years, Jer. Complete list of winners can be found in the August issue of Wine Spectator. It's on newsstands now, and we'll also link to it in the show notes.
All right, that'll do it for today's show. Be sure to tell a friend about the Daily Detroit Podcast, and think about joining our Daily Detroit Podcast fans Facebook group. For Randy Walker, Cheyenne Noserini, Bob and David Podcast Detroit, Devin O'Reilly, everyone who's contributed to make this thing happen, and our patrons at patreon.com/dailydetroit, I'm Jer Stays. Have a great weekend.
I'm Sven Gustafson. Take care of each other, and we'll see you around Detroit.
You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.